Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance. And this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from KL, and here's her story. Hello, I came across your channel not too long ago, and it is great that so many people are able to get help from your own story and others. I am an evangelist, but even those who are in God, not a church structure because the church is the individual, still either deal with or have had people who call themselves Christians abuse others based on their narcissistic abuse. Anyway, I just wanted to share my story with you, and you are free to read it to your followers. May God bless you. As I'm writing this blog memoir, I remember the first time that I told someone what the narc had done to me with regard to this story that I'm about to tell. The person that I told was the codependent in the relationship with the narc. The codependent found it hard to believe when I told this story at the age of 28. It happened to me 14 years prior, but I had kept it secret until then. This is the story. As a child, I had been taught a lot of things as far as taking care of responsibilities around the house. I did chores such as taking out the trash, washing dishes, cleaning the house, folding clothes, and even cooking. There's nothing wrong with children learning these things, but there was something that took place that should have never happened to me or any child for that matter. At 11 years old, I had begun learning how to cook. I caught on pretty fast, was pretty good at it for my age. As I got older, the more I was expected to cook and make more complex dishes, which wasn't a problem for me. However, at the age of 14, you're normally not a master chef or a master at anything at that age. You're still a kid. Well, the narc in my life seemed to have forgotten that because I was expected to be Miss Perfect at cooking. One day I cooked breakfast for my brother, the narc, and me prior to going to school. I can't recall what all I cooked, but I remember that the main item was a pot of grits. Why do I remember that? Well, you will know in just a moment. After cooking the breakfast and setting the table up for us to all eat, I had placed food on everyone's plate and we began to eat. The grits, however, had lumps in them. What I didn't know at the time was that it is best to either cook grits with a fork and stir frequently to prevent lumps, or use something like an egg beater instead of the spoon that I used. Anyhow, my brother bit into one of the lumps that was in the grits and spit them back onto his plate. The narc looked at me in disgust and told me that I had to eat the grits that my brother had just spit out of his mouth. Like a dog. That's right. The spit-filled grits that had been partially chewed and regurgitated back onto my brother's plate was now punishment for having had made lumpy grits. Oh, there are a few things that turn my stomach. Nothing used to turn my stomach when I was on the ambulance, when I was on medical calls. I tried to choke back tears as I was made to do the most sickening act that only a sick person would think of doing to a child. I was immediately threatened not to tell the codependent or I would be in trouble. I should have taken my chances, but I feared the wrath of the narc. Years later, when I finally told the codependent what had taken place, they had a hard time believing that the narc would do such an act. After verifying it with my brother, the codependent knew that I was not making the story up. The narc, of course, lied and said it never happened. then tried to make me feel as if the story was then tried to make me feel if even the story was true. They had done so many other good things that I was horrible for even mentioning it. And the narc loves to get you to that point. When you corner the narc and they have no other choice but to admit it. Oh, so what? All right, yeah, so what? But we did this, we did that, we did this, we did that. And that goes again to the fucking broken plate theory. Okay? Ali's broken plate answer to the narcissist. Why don't you get over it? It wasn't so bad. Yeah, it happened. But all this other good things happen. You take a plate and you smash it on the fucking floor. And you say, now you glue that thing back together. Will that plate ever be the same? No. Now you got it. So now, even if I take that plate and somehow glue it back together, it'll never be the same. It'll never be strong. It'll never be as whole as it was before you came and fucked it up. But even if I glue it back together and put my favorite food on it, you're still not going to be able to enjoy it. Why? Because you're enjoying it on a broken dish. That you can feel is weaker when you're cutting. You can feel it. You can see it. It isn't the same. That's the answer to that. Even if it was true, nothing makes up for it. Nothing. After all, I was fortunate that I had a roof over my head and was not a ward of the state as they had been. I never received an apology. Well, why would I? They never admitted to even doing it to begin with. See, narcissists act as if they are the victims when you approach them with something that they have done wrong. Therefore, they get the narcissistic injury even though you are the true victim. The reason I'm telling you this story is so others will know. Never keep quiet about what the narc has done to you. The only way you can heal is to confront the truth about what took place as abuse in your life. Therefore, you are not trying to assign blame, but you will give it a name. That means to say what actually took place, and by no longer sweeping it under the rug, you can gain control over your life, where you will move from being the victim to the victor. Evangelist K.L. Rich. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us be glad and rejoice in it. Well, thank you very much for your story, KL. And you're right about never keeping quiet. You can't keep quiet. They want you to be silent. And, you know, we've heard this, the roof over my head, and you could be a ward of the state, and my life was so much worse than yours. Even if they were a ward of the state, you would think they would know better. But they don't. They don't. Because they break you, and they don't want to take responsibility for what they've done. And then they'll act like they are the victim when you confront them. That's why cutting them off, going no contact, not playing the game is the only way you win, is the only way you beat them. Because they want the engagement, they want the fight, because they're going to turn it around and make themselves the victim. They need the fight. They need the engagement. Because if they don't have it, they have a harder time making it about them. That doesn't mean you don't still continue to expose them and talk about it. You just don't do it to them or anybody in their circle. That's the difference. You got to be free and open about it without directly engaging it, because they need the direct engagement. That's what they strive for. Because it's all without the engagement, they can't turn around and be the victim. The victim of what? The victim of breaking you and having you wanting them to take responsibility. They are now the victim. Now, how deep down the rabbit hole do you have to go where that makes sense? But to most of us, that makes sense. That's how far down the rabbit hole they bring you. So, thank you so much for your donation, and thank you again for your story, KL. I really appreciate it. Hope it helped. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or do a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just like to make a contribution to the channel in general, and they're always great, you'll know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. And if you're still unclear, wait for the instructional video link to pop up on the screen at the end of this video to walk you through all of that. Please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.